Hi students, today I'm going to read to you the value of being confused. However, before I do that, I want to talk with you about annotating, because it's an expectation that you take annotations, or another word for annotations is simply notes. You're going to take notes and actively engage with the text as you're reading it or as you're following along. Now you can do this in one of two ways. You can simply open up your own Google document, title it The Value of Being Confused Annotations, and write your own annotations by assigning numerical values to each paragraph. So for example, this is the first paragraph here. We've all felt confused before, and it ends with, no matter what is making us confused, the feeling of not knowing what the answers or solutions are can make us feel useless, stupid, and cause us to worry. If you were going to do this on your own document, you would assign it a numerical value, most likely 1, because we're going to go in chronological order with the paragraphs. Assign it a 1, and any annotations or notes you want to make about that paragraph, you would jot down or type there. Another way to do this would be to make a copy of this article on your own and save it to your own Google Drive and rename it something that you know, my copy of The Value of Being Confused Annotations, and do it that way. Either way, you're going to want to make a copy of the annotations, okay? So that might be your own blank document that you begin with, or it might be making a copy in the way I just explained, but you're going to want to do that because you need to turn your annotations into me. All right? And some of the ways that you can annotate are by making personal connections. So if you read a particular situation in the text that you feel applies to you or you've experienced, you can make a note about that. And when you make notes, you can do that simply in the margins. So this white portion of the text, this white portion of the paper of the document where there are no words, that's the margins. And so you can make notes in the margins. It's easy enough to do that if you're documenting all of this on your iPad. And if you're not going to do it that way, then you're just simply going to do it behind that number that you've assigned for each paragraph. Another way to annotate would be to draw pictures. So, for example, if you were reading about a character who shows the quality of loyalty, you might want to draw a picture of something that reminds you of loyalty. If I did that, I would draw a picture of a dog. Another sort of annotation that you can take is by defining vocabulary. So if you're not sure what a word means, you can try to use context clues, so look within that sentence, maybe the sentence above or below, and try to figure out what that word means. If you still don't know, then you're simply going to use an online dictionary and look up what the word means and jot that down. Okay? So far we have making personal connections, drawing pictures, and defining vocabulary. Another way to annotate is by asking questions. So if something's confusing you, jot down the question and then bring it to your teacher when you return to class, or email your teacher if you're a virtual student. Okay. Another way to annotate might be to make text-to-text comparisons. So perhaps you're reading something and it reminds you of another book that you've read or a news article that you've read. You can make that comparison. It might even remind you of something that you've seen in a movie, and that's fine. You can make that comparison too. So those are just a few ideas for annotating. Okay? So keep that in mind as we're going through and we're reading this article together, that you need to be annotating. Now I'm going to give you a couple minutes to set up your paper in the way that you choose, either by making a copy of it and annotating with the iPad, or by opening up a new document, titling it The Value of Being Confused Annotations, and getting that set up. So take a couple minutes to get that done before we begin. Great. I hope you all have your paper set up. So let's begin reading our article, The Value of Being Confused. No one likes to feel confused, but could there actually be benefits to confusion? In this informational text, Barrett Smith explores why feeling confused is actually a good thing. As you read, take notes on how people respond to confusion. Now, students, before I begin, I just want to give you this reminder. If you feel like I'm reading too fast or I'm moving too quickly, you can always just stop the recording and go back and listen again. Okay? Let's begin. We've all felt confused before, and it can be one of the most frustrating feelings to deal with. Students might be confused about how to do a math problem or finish a project. Young people might be confused about who they are and what to do in the future. No matter what is making us confused, the feeling of not knowing what the answers or solutions are can make us feel useless, stupid, and cause us to worry. A lot of people are hard on themselves and others when there's a lack of understanding. People often tend to think the person who has all the answers is smarter than the one who asks lots of questions. Because of the negative judgment that surrounds confusion, people often try to hide their confusion in a variety of ways. Instead of admitting or accepting that they don't have the solution, people sometimes try to pretend they have the answers. And at other times, people make educated guesses or create an answer even if they know it isn't right. So for example, if you're annotating right now and you've ever been confused about something and you made an educated guess for trying to solve an answer, you weren't sure of it, you just guessed, you could make a personal connection there and write that down as your annotation. Okay? Students are often guilty of hiding their lack of understanding. If confused about a topic in school, they might pretend to know the answers. They can sometimes be embarrassed to ask questions. As young individuals, they can be confused about who they are and might try harder to behave in a particular way. They can be too embarrassed to explore other groups or identities, afraid perhaps of being called a wannabe. They can be afraid people will know they're confused. But confusion might actually be a good thing. When we jump to an answer, we don't have time to explore and understand the thing we're confused about. Fighting confusion ends up making us more confused. Instead of fighting or trying to ignore your confusion, accepting it and taking the opportunity to analyze what's confusing can benefit our learning. In fact, scientific studies show that confusion actually leads to deeper understanding. A 2004 study explored 6 moods that people feel while learning, including frustrated, bored, and confused. They found that students who spent more They found that students who spent more of the lesson confused learned the most. In another study published in 2014, scientists tried to confuse students by giving them contradicting information. Now I see this word contradicting, and there's a number by it, a number 1. And so I'm going to try to find that vocabulary word because I know it's on here. And in fact, I know it's up on the top. So I'm going to look up here and I'm going to see that contradicting says something that is opposite to something else. And the part of speech is a noun. So I'm going to go back down here where we were reading. Where were we? Right here we are. And it says scientists tried to confuse students by giving them contradicting information. So that means, for example, it would be like 2 sets of directions, both misleading, right? Both telling you different information. And that certainly would confuse somebody. Students who expressed confusion during the lesson did better on the final test. Based on these studies, scientists believe being confused is a step to learning. Not knowing the answer to a problem gives us space to look at different ways to solve it. The feeling of confusion also motivates us to look more deeply into the problem. In the end, this helps us understand the topic on a deeper level. Confusion isn't just an important step to learning in school, it's important for learning who you are. Psychologists call that sense of who you are identity. Your identity can involve being parts of groups like race, gender, and subcultures. Now here we see a number 2 by subcultures. So if I look down below, I see right here it says subculture, cultural group within a larger culture, often having beliefs or interests at variance with those of the larger culture. Identity is also made up of your values and goals. People figure out their identity in 2 steps. The first step is exploration, where you try out different groups and values and see what fits. The next step is commitment, when you decide firmly about some parts of your identity. Exploring your identity can feel very confusing. You might be afraid that people will judge you for going through different phases or not committing to a group. But phases are completely natural. A study published in the International Journal of Behavioral Development found that people who do the most exploring about who they are have better outcomes, such as higher self-esteem later in life. Confusion gives us the space to try new things and be creative. Allowing ourselves to be confused and ask questions leads to deeper understanding, more learning, and higher self-confidence. So, try not to be embarrassed when you're confused about something. Instead of trying to hide or fight your confusion, try to resolve it by trying new things. Embrace the confusion and explore different solutions to your problem. Sometimes being confused is hard, not just because we judge ourselves, but because it can be frustrating. When we try over and over to understand something without making any progress, we can feel defeated and stop caring, and eventually give up. Trying a new method, asking for help, or researching different ways to approach the problem online can all be great resources to work through your confusion. Before you give up, make sure you have someone to help you and the resources you need to resolve your confusion. Okay, so that's the article, and I just want to stop for a moment there and give you some time to finish up your annotations. So why don't you do that, and then we're going to go back and we're going to look at the text-dependent questions. I'm just going to give you a little bit of direction there, and that'll be the end of our recording. So again, finish up those annotations. Okay, hopefully you had time to finish up your annotations. And again, if you didn't, you can stop the recording at any moment you like and finish those annotations. So the first portion of this article has text-dependent questions. And this is where your annotations are going to come in handy, because you have been actively engaged in reading this article or listening to this article with me. So you can also go back and read your annotations to help you continue to develop that stronger understanding of the text. So in this first portion it says directions. For the following questions, choose the best answer or respond in complete sentences. So while this first portion here, it's just multiple choice. But the second portion is short answer, and so you need to respond with complete sentences. Okay? So we have questions 1, 2, 3, and 4. So you have 4 questions here. Okay? And those first 4 are multiple choice. Then for number 5, it says, explain the relationship between confusion and growth in the text. Cite evidence from the text to support your response. So for number 5, you're going to explain the relationship between confusion and growth in the text. Okay? And in answering that, you're going to have to pull some textual evidence, which means you're going to look back at the text and you might pull a sentence or two that helps you explain that in your answer. All right? Now, I'm not asking you to use direct quotes or anything like that. It's okay for you to paraphrase. And when I say paraphrase, that just means you're putting it in your own words. But somewhere up above in that text, you need to do that. Okay? So you may even want to highlight up above in the text in your annotations where you're going to be taking that from. And then down in the bottom, when you actually do number 5, use that highlighted color down here so that I can see where they're matching up, especially if you put it in your own words or you paraphrase. The next portion is discussion questions. And it says, brainstorm your answers to the following questions in the space provided. Be prepared to share your original ideas in a class discussion. Well, we won't have a class discussion, but you're just going to answer the questions to the best of your ability. Okay? I will be reading these, and I will be the only one reading these. And that's about it. So thanks for listening. Good luck.